All right, guys, the next thing we're going to be looking at here is a general all rooms. When I say all rooms, I mean living room, kitchen, bathrooms, bedrooms, closets, pantries, ceilings, floors. This is all the stuff in the house that is not specific to a particular room that you're going to find in basically every room. So starting right here, we're going to start just by looking at the walls. And this is a nice obvious example. As you can see, it looks like the tenant tried to fix all of their own nail holes. So this wall is just absolutely covered in what we call patch and paint, which means we need to patch it up and then we need to paint it. And so I can show you all how this app integrates in here. Basically what we do when we're using the app is I'm at the step where it says to check the walls for hardware holes, screws, etc., and document those. So all I've got to do is just click on this section, and then I go ahead and hit the microphone button, and I say the walls are full of nails and other pieces of hardware and bad patches. They need to be repaired and painted, and then turn that off. And then now I can just click right to the next section. But before you move on, go ahead, and your phone may work different than mine. I hit my power button twice and the camera comes up immediately. So after you write that down, then you're gonna just go ahead and get your camera, take a picture, and then swipe back. Brings you right back here to the app, and you move right on to the next line. So you're checking the walls, and I do highly suggest when you do this, and this is just based on my personal experience, it's easy to think that you really know what you're doing and that you don't need to use a checklist. Now, I haven't been having mine in my hand with you because I'm trying to make some content that y'all can follow without getting bored to death while I read every line. But I do want to stop and say, I do think that you need to use this line by line. You need to read every line. And specifically, when we're checking walls, ceilings, flooring, baseboard, etc., this whole house stuff, I highly suggest that you pick something like walls, and when you do the walls, you go ahead and walk the entire house, and you only look at the walls. You look at them top to bottom, ignore the baseboard, ignore the ceiling, ignore the floors, and just do the walls all the way around the house. Document those as you go. Now, one small tip I have, if you're, let's say, a handyman who's going to be doing the actual work later, and I wouldn't bother on this wall because it's obvious, but I carry some blue tape with me so that when there's walls that only have one or two little holes in them, but you don't want to miss them, you put a piece of blue tape next to those holes. And you can do this with this entire list, whether it's the faucet, the outlets, or whatever, use your blue tape. But that's how you document this. You just go ahead and click on it, hit your microphone button, say what you need to say, click your microphone button off, turn on your camera, take your picture, swipe back, you're right back in the app, and then you move on. So we looked at walls. Let's go ahead and take a look at closets, because all the closets in the pantry are the same kind of deal. It's all the extra, all the spaces that are included in all rooms. So you come in here, and right off the bat I can see we don't even have a clothes rod in here, and you'd be surprised how often you find that there aren't any clothes rods. But we've already inspected doors, so when we come to look at the closets, other than looking at the walls and the ceiling and the floor and the baseboard, we're really basically checking out the shelving and the brackets and the clothes rods just to make sure that everything is there. And then do come inside and look back as well, because oftentimes you'll find hardware or you'll find things screwed to the walls, and you don't want to miss any of those things. So moving on, and I might say this may be under doors because I wasn't using my list, but part of what you can also look for when you're walking around doing this is down here, as you can see, we're missing the door stopper. And one of the things, again, as I was just saying, when you go through the house and you're looking at all of these things, it would be really easy to think you know what you're doing and just walk room to room, and you're going to find, let's say, 4 door stoppers missing. Whereas if you would have walked through the entire house only looking for door stoppers, you might find that 6 of them are missing. So on this portion, to reiterate, I think this is very important, you should pick one thing at a time, and it does mean that you walk the whole house 8 times, but pick one thing, walk the entire house, and write them all down one line item at a time. So moving on again, let's go ahead and take a look at baseboard. You're going to check all the baseboard on all the walls, and mostly what you're looking for is, other than them just being dirty and gouged, is that they're sealed to the wall on the top, and this is also where you're going to find signs of water damage. Now, whether that water came from the roof and leaked it down the wall and then swelled the baseboard up, or whether it's because it flooded outside and came in from the outside, you want to look at the baseboards specifically for water damage is what I'm usually looking for. Moving on, we also want to look at the ceilings. And when we look at the ceilings, again, I suggest you do this exclusively through the entire house. You're looking for signs of water damage. Now, you don't see much on the ceiling here, but if you're able to see from the angle that you're looking at right now, there is water that has flowed all the way down this wall and separated the paint from the drywall all the way down. So that's some significant water damage that we're actually going to need to write up, because all of this is going to have to get scraped off and removed. Then it's going to have to get a skim coat of joint compound. Then it's going to have to get new texture and new paint, which we're going to be doing paint all around anyway, so the paint isn't the biggest deal. But this is exactly the type of water damage that we're looking for. And if you look at the ceiling, you can see where the bubbling is on the ceiling as well. So next, we're looking at the flooring. And once again, I'm going to repeat this too many times because I think it's necessary. Check all the flooring out independently. You don't need to check everything ceiling to floor all at the same time. Pick one item, and when it's time for flooring, walk around the house and look at all the flooring. When you're looking at the flooring, especially look at where carpet transitions to anything else, because underneath all of this is going to be tack strips, and the tack strips, if they start coming up, those tack strips are going to get into people's feet, and you just really don't want that to happen. Here's the tack strip right here, and this carpet is no longer attached to it. So somebody's going to have to lay new tack strip down, or maybe move this back a little bit, or stretch the carpet forward so we can get this carpet back under that aluminum strip right there so that people don't hurt their feet. But like I said, do the whole house flooring all at once. And then finally, let's come take a look at this pantry. This is going to be very common. People put all their stuff in and out of these pantries. A lot of times they're oily, a lot of times they're greasy. The canned goods are made out of, the cans are made out of steel and they scratch. And if you take a look at this, this is extremely dirty. This entire thing is going to need a good scrubbing with some soap to get the oils off so that the paint sticks well. And then it's going to need a new paint job top to bottom. So you're going to repeat this process through the entire house. You're going to look at every ceiling, every wall, every baseboard, all of the flooring, all of the closets, all of the pantries, all of the areas that are included in the whole house that are not specific to a particular room that has a particular purpose.